Welcome to Wordpath, the show about Oklahoma Indian languages and the people who are teaching and preserving them. Tonight we're going to sort of pause between our usual parade of guests and topics about languages. I want to talk about several small topics, mostly upcoming events. It's the end of the school year. A lot of people are looking forward to their summer and trying to plan ahead a little bit, and I wanted to mention several things of interest that are coming up related to Indian language preservation. To start off, I'd like to mention about 4 upcoming meetings or conferences that will be of interest to some of you who are working in the language preservation field or are just interested in learning more about it. The first one is a conference called Stabilizing Indigenous Languages, which will be held at Louisville, Kentucky from May 14th through 16th. Let me tell you a little bit about this conference because this is, I believe, the 5th annual. They've been at this for a little while, 5th annual conference. Last year it was held in Flagstaff, and I went there and gave a talk and also attended a lot of talks and really enjoyed it. From the previous conferences, they've published a couple of books. I think this orange one was the first 2, and this blue one is last year's conference or the next 2. I've lost track a little bit. But they have, I think they each have 2 conferences in them, which is the proceedings of the conference, the text of the papers. And let me just read you a little bit from the introduction to this volume here that includes last year's. It'll give you an idea of what kind of topics are covered. They have papers on tribal and school roles, another section on teaching students, another on teacher education, another on curriculum and materials development, and then there's a section on language attitudes and promotion. That's where my paper on the Wordpath show was presented, trying to encourage other people to do similar things around the country. And then there's a section called Summing Up. I think these are very worthwhile volumes, and they can be gotten inexpensively through the address and number we're about to give you. And there'll be another one coming out, I guess, after this year's conference or maybe the next 2. Let me read you a little bit from this conference announcement here, and then we'll show you the address. It's being sponsored through the Department of English, University of Louisville, Kentucky this time. Suggested topics: language renewal, bilingual education programs for indigenous languages, developing grammars, dictionaries, textbooks, the American Indian College movement, the tradition of American Indian humor, Indian storytelling, narratives and text development, teaching the symbolism of Indian art, teaching the meanings of Indian dance, the roles of the tribe in language development, and indigenous epistemologies. I guess we'll find out when we go exactly what that means. At any rate, the call for abstracts, the deadline has already passed, so whoever's giving their paper, that's already been arranged. But it's a wonderful conference just to attend, even if you don't give a paper. It's very interesting. It's not too formal and stuffy, and it's very practical. And there are a lot of indigenous people there talking about saving their own languages, so you're really getting some good information. Let's put up the address now of who to contact if you're interested in more information. There you go, at the University of Louisville, Kentucky. And we have an email address at the bottom. By the way, in our email addresses, we use a star where there would normally be the @ sign. We've had trouble getting that @ sign on our graphics computer, so that should be read RNSTC01 @ and the rest of it. So that's coming up May 14th through 16th. The next one I'd like to mention is called the Sovereignty Symposium. I have just a little bit of information on that. This also has been going on for several years. In fact, this is the 11th annual that'll be coming up. The Sovereignty Symposium is basically a nationally recognized, internationally recognized and attended conference on Indian law. But for some years now, on the first day or 2 of it, they've had sessions related to Indian language preservation. I've given papers there and heard papers there, and it's also a very useful thing. It's being held in Tulsa, so it's not too far to go. It's very inexpensive to attend, and I highly recommend it. This year's conference, this is sponsored, by the way, by the Supreme Court of Oklahoma from Justice Yvonne Cogger's office there. Let's go ahead and put up the contact information on that. That'll be held June 8th, 9th, and 10th, and I think probably the language sessions will be on June 8th or 8th and 9th, which is usually a Monday and Tuesday. I believe that's what this is. It's at the Doubletree Warren Place in Tulsa. And for more information, you should contact Julie Rory in Justice Cogger's office. Her number is 405-521-4978. I really recommend that one very much. Now, the next upcoming conference I thought I would mention is in Preston, Oklahoma, and I don't have the exact date yet. We'll get back to you on that when we do. But it's sponsored, this conference in Preston, Oklahoma, which is in eastern Oklahoma, is sponsored by an organization called Oklahoma, hold on just a moment now, I want to get this right. I believe it's Oklahoma Native Language Association. Yes, it is. And this will be I believe the third annual conference coming up this October. Yes, it will be. I have a paper here that talks about the second, which was last year. I've also given papers at this and heard some very good papers. And this addresses just the preservation of Oklahoma Indian languages. So it's a more local conference than that first one that I mentioned. It's also very inexpensive. I don't even remember. I think maybe it was $10 or $20. It's very inexpensive. And you can also join the Oklahoma Native Language Association through this same address that we'll give you in just a moment. But basically, this is, I think, usually a 2-day conference, and there will just be workshops where different people from different tribes around the state will explain or demonstrate what they've been doing with their language. And it's just a way of kind of networking, getting ideas from each other, sharing your expertise, inspiring each other to do more good work. And it's very, very good, very Indian-oriented and language preservation-oriented, and also a very warm, hospitable feeling kind of a conference, not at all formal and stuffy, just the opposite. So let's put the information up on that one. The contact person would be Greg Bigler, who's president of the Oklahoma Native Language Association. And his address is P.O. Box 1927, Sapulpa, Oklahoma 74067. Or you can phone him at 918-227-0659. If you have email, he's gdbigler at, that should be at where the star is, at gorilla.net. And that will be sometime in October. I don't know exactly which date, but we'll be keeping you informed about that as time goes on, or you can call and get more information as the date approaches. Now there's one more conference, and this is well, actually not a conference, this is more of a sort of a school event. Let me get my poster on this one. This is something called, I never knew how they pronounced the acronym, ALD or ILD or something like that. Maybe you can get a shot of this poster and then I'll read some of the details and talk about it a little bit more. See if you can get this. This has been going on also for several years. This is in Arizona. Are we going to be able to get a shot of this? There we go. Giving Life to the Language. I think that's a nice title. Now, you're not going to be able to read this on the screen, I think, so I'll take it down. I just wanted you to see that they have beautiful posters each year as well. Let's read some of the information on here. The American Indian Language Development Institute, that's what AILDI stands for, celebrates its 19th year as a leading program in American Indian linguistics and Indian education. As we acknowledge this achievement, we also recognize that American Indian and Alaska Native languages are perishing at an alarming rate. This year, AILDI's theme is Giving Life to the Language, Personal Commitments and Responsibilities. We'll feature a special, I'm skipping over a little bit here, a special whole institute seminar on reversing language shift taught by renowned sociolinguist Joshua A. Fishman, and he is an extremely highly regarded linguist in this area, and special training sessions on developing and implementing immersion and master apprentice language learning programs. Other courses include bilingual methods and materials, linguistics for Native American communities, linguistics for non-majors, teaching indigenous languages as second languages, literacy development and Native American literature, computer applications for teachers, and foundations of bilingual education. There are some very well-known speakers here. Some of my favorites besides Joshua Fishman are, let's see, Ofelia Cepeda. She's Tohono O'odham, formerly known as Papago. That tribe has changed its official designation. Very highly regarded linguist and native language preservationist. Lucille Wadahomaji, who's Wallapai from Peach Springs. Arizona, and Dr. Akira Yamamoto, who teaches linguistics and anthropology in the University of Kansas at Lawrence. These are all very experienced people, and I'm sure many of the other speakers on here are too. I just don't know all of them. But this is being held from June 1st through 26th, 1998. And you can get college credit. There is a tuition cost with this one. This is the costliest thing I'm mentioning tonight. You can get 6 credit hours in the 4 weeks. The costs include tuition, $670, blah, blah, blah. There's a few incidental things like books, campus parking, and then housing they estimate at $450 to $650. If you're smart and lucky, you'll find a place to stay while you're there. So there's several $100s involved there. But if you're in a program that can get you any kind of funding for this, I really highly recommend it. And you can get college credit, so if you are college students, you may be able to work something with that too, either scholarship-wise or just decide that it's worthwhile because it'll be part of your official record and program and credits and so forth. So I do highly recommend this. I've never been to it myself, but it sounds like a very, very useful and useful thing that I should be recommending to people who have that interest. That's the end of my 4 big upcoming conferences and such, places to learn about language preservation around the country. Next, I'd like to have the booth, if they could, roll a sort of commercial for the show. I should have just started this off real deadpan and just said, well, after this announcement, we'll be back for more. But I want to explain a little bit about this. We made a commercial for the Wordpath show, and then we haven't really figured out quite where to show it yet. But I thought I would show it on the air tonight. It gives our airing times and rerun times for each week. And we put a lot of effort into creating this little 30-second notice, so I'd just like for you to take a look and see what you think. I'm Alice Anderson, host of Wordpath. We feature the 24 languages spoken by Oklahoma Indian tribes.
Goigu hagiat all day no. Bai hang ya dome.
Edi ambahata te de juigi de kambla. Hey, maar de dat te non de werkjes na kangio.
Isso é quaço. Isso é tucanai de quaço.
Join us for more Golden Oldies, Monday and Wednesday evenings. Wasn't that a kick? It was a lot of fun putting that together. It's amazing how much work can go into 30 seconds when it comes to television production and trying to get a lot of information into such a small amount of time. It gave me a whole new respect for people who make commercials. Anyway, the next thing I'd like to talk about is this will be our first announcement for a contest being sponsored by the Wordpath show. And the idea of the contest is to come up with words in some language of a tribe of Oklahoma. Which language it is up to you, as long as it's one of the Oklahoma tribes. Words for the song Boomer Sooner, which is a fight song for OU, as I'm sure most of you know. Now, we held this contest, I believe it was last year, over a several-month period, and we didn't get any takers. No one actually sent us words to Boomer Sooner in an Indian language, and we're going to give it another try. There will be a cash prize. I think for now we'll say $50, but hopefully over the coming weeks this prize money will go up. If anyone is in a position to donate to the prize money, please get in touch with us here at the show. We would really appreciate that because we want to make it attractive enough so that people will really put in the time to do this. So there will be a cash prize and also the chance to appear on the Wordpath show and sing your song with or without your friends, and perhaps some other miscellaneous means of notoriety that we may dream up for you, getting you in the news or on the Oklahoma City show or something like that. We'll do what we can to promote your song, in other words, and to get you on the air singing it. Now, since we did run this exact same contest last year, I think we'll run the contest description from last year and let you watch that. The Boomer Sooner Contest. The Wordpath show is sponsoring a contest to come up with new words for Boomer Sooner in an Indian language. The English words are as follows. Pardon my singing. Verse 1. Boomer Sooner, Boomer Sooner, Boomer Sooner, Boomer Sooner. I'm a Sooner born and a Sooner bred, and when I die I'll be a Sooner dead. Rah, Oklahoma, Rah, Oklahoma, Rah, Oklahoma. Okay, you. Then verse 2 is the same except for where we said Boomer Sooner before, we just say Oklahoma, 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 Oklahoma. The rest is the same. So there's your lesson in the English language version. The task in the contest is to come up with words to this song, suitable words in any Indian language of Oklahoma, and submit them on a tape and with a written version. For the contest, prize money of $25 so far has been offered for the best effort. A judging panel will be put together from the Wordpath crew and Indian community leaders. The winning entrant will be invited to appear on Wordpath and perform their entry. Deadline for entries is June 15, 1996. Complete contest rules follow. The prize money may grow, or further details may be added to the rules in the coming weeks. Watch Wordpath for further details, or write to the address given in the contest rules. Official rules for the Wordpath Boomer Sooner contest. Number 1, all entries must consist of the following: name, address, and telephone contact number of entrant. A tape of Boomer Sooner, either 1 or 2 verses, in an Indian language and identification of the language. Written version in the Indian language and English translation. And a signed statement that the lyrics are the original creation of the entrant and that the Wordpath show has permission to play and display the entry on the air if it is chosen as a winner. Number 2, the lyrics must be in a Native American Indian language of any of the tribes headquartered in Oklahoma. Lyrics need not be a translation of the English words, but should suggest a fight song, mentioning pride, the desire to win, support for the team, etc. Lyrics will be checked with a native speaker of the language for fluency and for accuracy of the translation. Lyrics will be judged for singability, so keeping at least some repetition, as in the original English version, is advised, and also for positive spirit and authenticity of the language. Number 3, send entries to Wordpath, Post Office Box 2872, Norman, Oklahoma 73070. Number 4, all entries must be postmarked by June 15, 1996. Number 5, the tune to Boomer Sooner is in the public domain, that is, it's neither copyrighted nor copyrightable, but the lyrics will remain the property of the entrant. Materials will not be returned unless sufficient return postage is included with the entry. Number 6, current information on prizes is: 1 prize of $25 to be awarded by our panel of judges. This information may be updated if additional prize money is donated, in which case more than 1 prize may also be awarded. Watch Wordpath for the latest prize information, or write to Wordpath at the address given above. The judges reserve the right not to award a prize if the number or quality of entries is low. Number 7, this contest is open to all Oklahoma residents. If you missed any of this or would like to have a printed version, contest rules will soon be available at several local venues, probably the Jacobson House, Tribes Gallery, Levite of Apache, and similar places. So, get to work and good luck. So there you go, our Boomer Sooner contest in its second incarnation. Now let me make very clear, we're going to have to redo that announcement for this year's contest. I just wanted to show you that to give you the idea of the contest tonight. But I want to make those 2 corrections. One is the prize is not $25, it's $50, and we'll hope we'll have it up to $100 before the contest is over. Please contribute if you can, if you're interested in seeing Boomer Sooner sung in an Indian language. For now, we'll say $50 at least, and an appearance on the Wordpath show and whatever other notoriety we can come up with. And the other change is, of course, the date. The deadline for this year's contest will be July the 31st, 1998, because we want to have this in and ready to go in time for football season next fall. All right, next little section of items I wanted to talk about are some events being sponsored by the Intertribal Wordpath Society. I don't know if everyone is aware, if you watch the credits at the end of the program, you are. The Intertribal Wordpath Society is an educational nonprofit organization, IRS recognized, tax deductible, et cetera, 501c3, and it does sponsor the Wordpath show. That is, it has applied for some grants on behalf of the program to pay for travel costs to taping sites and for blank tapes and so forth. And we also have other activities that we're involved in. I am the executive director of IWS, and our board chair is Margaret Malden, who is a Creek speaker and teacher. And our other board members are linguists and or native speakers of Oklahoma Indian languages. Let me just read you briefly who our personnel are before I talk a little bit about some planned activities. Board of Directors, Margaret Malden, as I mentioned, myself, Truman Black, who is Oto, Susan Garcon, who's a linguist from OSU, Marcia Haig, who's a linguist formerly of OU and now working independently, working on a grammar of Choctaw right now with Henry Willis, and Ronald Red Elk, who's Comanche. Our advisors include Jerry Bread, Kiowa, Marianne Britton, Choctaw, Carl Downing, Creek, Choctaw, and Cherokee, Dorna Harjo, who is Pawnee, Jan Michael, who is an MBA, non-Indian, Frank Oberle, who is a CPA and Comanche and Oto, Gus Palmer Jr., who's a Kiowa teacher here at OU, actually, Browning Pipestem, attorney and Oto, and Charlene Wright, who is Caddo. So that's what the Intertribal Wordpath Society is, and if anyone wants more information about it, we have an informational brochure, which you can't read on camera anyway, but I'm showing you that we have one, and we'd be glad to send you one or more if you get in touch with us at the address at the end of the show. And I'll just say now, in case you forget to check at the end, the address is 1506 Barclay Street, Norman, Oklahoma, 73071. That will also be the address, by the way, for the Boomer Sooner contest. The post office box mentioned in that announcement before is no longer functioning for us. So it's 1506 Barclay Street, Norman, 73071, and our phone number is 447-6103 in the 405 area. Now I just want to mention fairly briefly some planned activities, and actually none of these are fully planned yet. I'm just giving you a little hint of some things that we have in mind. It'll give you a better idea of what the Intertribal Wordpath Society is and the kind of activities we'd like to sponsor besides the Wordpath show. One is that we're going to be premiering a film made by a former Choctaw student from OU, actually. I don't know the exact title and subject matter. We'll be getting back to you with more information on this, but it's a Choctaw film on Choctaw subject. It is going to be having its premiere in Oklahoma, sponsored by the Intertribal Wordpath Society, to help us raise money and to help the filmmaker raise back some of his expenses for making the film. The film was shown at the Sundance Film Festival, which is nationally quite famous, internationally I guess. Didn't win a prize, but it was chosen to show there. And we look forward to being able to sponsor that, possibly in June. Again, we'll keep you advised. There's several ways, by the way, that we can keep you advised about these things or that you can find out. You can write us at the address I just gave or telephone us in Norman, or you can check our website or get in touch with us by email. Our email address is wordpath, all one word, at cyberhall, cyberhall.com. And our web page is telepath.com/wordpath/JBWILLIA. And actually, as with most web addresses, you should put http://www. before all of that. So you can get more information on all of these things, and as the details develop, you'll be able to find out about them in one of those many ways. So we have this film premiere that we're hoping to do this summer. Also, we'll be going to Red Earth, I believe. We're making the final decision on that this week. We have a deadline to decide whether we'll be staffing a booth at Red Earth or not in the nonprofit organizations section. We did this last year, and it gave us a chance to talk to a lot of people about Oklahoma Indian languages. So we're looking forward to doing that again, probably. Red Earth this year is June 11th to 14th are the dates usually given, but it's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which would be 12th to the 14th when we would have our booth there if we do, and I believe that we will. So look for us in the nonprofit organization section at Red Earth in the Myriad in downtown Oklahoma City. Another thing is that we'll be planning one or more open houses. We've thought of two things. One is to have an open house where people can just meet the Intertribal Wordpath Society board and staff and get to know who we are and give us suggestions and feedback and so forth, ask questions or whatever. Another is to have an open house for the Wordpath show where we might have, invite all of our previous guests and the crew that have been helping us through the last 2 years, and perhaps potential guests that would like to come and meet us and decide if they'd like to be a future guest on the Wordpath show. So we'll either have two separate open houses or put this all in one big package and do that jointly. That, I hope, will be this summer, perhaps in July. We're also working with representatives in the state legislature to try to get one day per year recognized as Indian Languages Day in Oklahoma, and we're anticipating that that would be sometime in the latter half of October, probably. We'll get back to you with more information on that. And then two other October events. Of course, Columbus Day is in October, and I don't think that should go by without very prominent mention of Indian languages and the loss to date of Indian languages and the need to preserve them. One notion we've had, and I almost think I shouldn't say this, but I think I will give this little tease, is that we're hoping to do something at the Capitol steps. That's not all arranged yet, but you may be seeing us in Oklahoma City at the Capitol steps. If that doesn't work out, we'll do something on that date I guess it's the second week of October next fall. And then finally, we're planning a more major event for Norman. Right now we're calling it a celebration of Indian language and culture, and it'll be in October, the latter half of October of 1998. So those are some upcoming events to be sponsored by Intertribal Wordpath Society, and as soon as the details firm up, we'll let you know. Also, of course, watch the Norman transcript and the Oklahoma City Daily Oklahoman and other places like that for information. Final section I wanted to talk about, and I just have about a minute left, but I wanted to say a little word about funding. We're kind of at the end of a big grant proposal cycle for the major grants for Indian language preservation, and those two major funders are the ANA, the Administration for Native Americans, and ELF, Endangered Language Fund at Yale University. Their deadlines have just passed, and they only have one deadline per year. But I thought it'd be a good chance to mention to people that that's not really the only show in town. In fact, there are other things you can be doing, and specifically, I wanted to mention the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofit Management, which is in downtown Oklahoma City on 13th Street. And you can get in touch with us if you need any more information on that. They're also listed in the telephone book, the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofit Management. Also, I want to encourage everyone to get their IRS 501c3 status. You just need to fill out an application, send it with the fee to IRS, and they will recognize you as an educational organization, which will help you to get grants from all sorts of people. And you can research who will fund grants to you through the Center for Nonprofit Management. IWS will be glad to help you with any of those at the phone number and address already given. And we're running out of time, so I have to say good night. See you next time on Wordpath.
Na hene yo hene, na hene yo hene, ana magwana kita, wa pene madaone kita. Na hene yo hene, na hene yo hene, ana magwana kita, wa pene madaone kita. Na hene yo hene, na hene yo hene, ana magwana kita, wa pene madaone kita. Nah.